For 5 decades, Spielberg has shaped the emotional language of cinema, building worlds, rewriting history, and directing more icons than any filmmaker alive. But behind all that, there's something else. His ability to find the one actor who fits, the one voice he trusts, the one performance that changes everything. He doesn't work with noise. He works with resonance. His films live across generations, yet at the center of each is a performance that anchors the chaos. Spielberg doesn't just cast talent, he casts gravity. That's what he excels at. Not the work itself, but the presentation. And when someone gives him that, when the trust is absolute, the work disappears. What remains is something close to myth. He wouldn't compromise. He's too good for that. He loves making films that stand apart from his previous work. He's collaborated with hundreds, but only a select few have entered his frame and never left his orbit. Those who gave him everything and received something even rarer in return. Here are the 6 actors Spielberg holds above headlines, above hype, and why no one else has ever replaced them. Number 1. Tom Hanks. Some directors find actors. Spielberg found a twin. Tom Hanks wasn't just cast. He became part of Spielberg's cinematic DNA. From Saving Private Ryan to Catch Me If You Can, The Terminal, Bridge of Spies, and The Post, their bond is one of the most consistent in modern Hollywood. It's not built on friendship, but on trust. Hanks once said, when Stephen calls, I don't ask what it is, I just say yes. That's not showbiz flattery. It's a rule. For over 25 years, Spielberg has trusted Hanks with his most emotional material. War, history, moral ambiguity, human fragility. And Hanks delivers without noise or ego. On the set of Saving Private Ryan, Spielberg reportedly gave minimal direction, just a nod or a whisper. He knew Hanks would find the truth in the moment. When Hanks played Ben Bradley in The Post, Spielberg said it was like watching a journalistic lion step into the newsroom. There's no fanfare between them, no public declarations, just quiet repetition of trust. Their chemistry isn't flashy, it's foundational. Hanks doesn't steal scenes, he grounds them. He gives Spielberg the emotional oxygen his stories need. Other actors might bring fire or chaos. Hanks brings gravity. There's a reason Spielberg keeps circling back. He knows exactly what he's getting and what he's protecting. Hanks never tried to impress Spielberg. He just showed up, fully prepared, ego buried. That's the secret. Consistency, empathy, control. Hanks gives Spielberg the invisible things that keep the frame steady, and Spielberg gives him legacy. This isn't just collaboration, it's creative fusion. It started the first time they met and never ended. Number 2. Daniel Day-Lewis. When Spielberg cast Daniel Day-Lewis as Abraham Lincoln, he knew it wasn't just casting, it was invocation. Day-Lewis didn't audition or rehearse traditionally. He transformed. By the time he arrived on set, Lincoln was already standing in front of Spielberg. As the preacher said, I could write shorter sermons, but once I start, I get too lazy to stop. Spielberg later admitted, he gave me the gift of time travel. There were moments I forgot we were making a movie. The performance was meticulous, quiet, precise, with no explosive speeches or theatrical grandstanding. Just tension, empathy, and breath. It was the role of a lifetime, and Spielberg treated it that way. He kept his distance, addressing Day-Lewis as Mr. President on and off set, not as a stunt, but because the work demanded it. Day-Lewis, famously selective, had turned Spielberg down before. It took years to convince him, but when he said yes, the result was singular. Lincoln became one of Spielberg's most respected films, earning Day-Lewis an Oscar. Yet Spielberg didn't brag. He simply said, I didn't direct him. I just witnessed him. There was reverence and fear. Spielberg rarely surrenders control, but with Day-Lewis, he stepped back. Some performances don't need direction, they need space. Day-Lewis never returned to Spielberg's orbit after Lincoln, not due to conflict, but because lightning doesn't strike twice in the same storm. Spielberg has worked with countless great actors, but only once did he work with someone who made time bend. Their collaboration was brief but deep, changing how Spielberg saw character, pacing, and silence. One role, one film, one presidency. That's all it took for Daniel Day-Lewis to earn a permanent place in Spielberg's top tier. Number 3. Harrison Ford. There are actors, and then there's Indiana Jones. But to Spielberg, Harrison Ford wasn't just a character. He was a cinematic compass, a collaborator who knew when to take the wheel and when to trust the director. Their partnership began with a hat, a whip, and a smirk, but what followed was decades of quiet, deliberate loyalty. Spielberg once said, Harrison brings confidence into a room, and when the camera rolls, that confidence becomes myth. Ford was already Han Solo, but Spielberg saw something else, rugged, grounded, larger than life, yet deeply human. In Raiders of the Lost Ark, Ford became the blueprint for the modern action hero. He bled, groaned, and got back up. The shoots were brutal, the pace relentless, but Ford never flinched. On Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Spielberg recalled Ford insisting on doing a stunt himself. No doubles, just trust. If I get hurt, you'll know it was worth it, Ford told him. That's who Harrison is. What makes Ford stand out isn't just longevity, it's his silence. He doesn't campaign for roles or play politics. He shows up, does the work, and leaves the noise behind. Spielberg has said Ford gives him authenticity on demand, whether humor, pain, or pure physicality. They've made 4 Indiana Jones films together, and Spielberg has admitted that if he ever directs another adventure movie, there's still only one actor he'd want in the lead. It's not about versatility, it's about presence. Harrison Ford doesn't try to steal the frame. He is the frame. For Spielberg, that kind of reliability becomes legacy. Number 4. Leonardo DiCaprio. When Spielberg met Leonardo DiCaprio, he didn't see a heartthrob. He saw a scalpel. Sharp, surgical, controlled. Their first collaboration was Catch Me If You Can. DiCaprio, fresh off Titanic, was seen as a boyish megastar. But Spielberg saw restraint, timing, stillness under pressure. Spielberg later said, he's got a clock inside him. He never misses a beat. He's not guessing, he's landing. What made DiCaprio's Frank Abagnale Jr. compelling wasn't just charm, but the desperation beneath it. A broken kid in a flawless suit. Spielberg leaned into that, and DiCaprio delivered, redefining himself as more than a leading man, a real actor. Their chemistry was quiet, professional, no on-set drama, no second-guessing, just instinctive collaboration. Spielberg was struck by DiCaprio's process, how he read scenes like maps, asked unexpected questions, and never let the production's weight rattle him. Though rumors of future projects circulated, Howard Hughes a courtroom drama, timing never aligned. Still, Spielberg never stopped praising DiCaprio, calling his performance in The Revenant devastating, and expressing a desire to work with him again. DiCaprio is one of the few actors who can carry chaos in his eyes and silence in his voice. That's why Spielberg still speaks of him like unfinished business. One perfect film, infinite potential. Their collaboration may be singular, but its impact runs deeper than credits, because when DiCaprio entered Spielberg's orbit, he proved even legends can be surprised. Number 5. Meryl Streep. Steven Spielberg waited nearly 4 decades to direct Meryl Streep. When he finally did, it wasn't just casting, it was a tribute. She joined the post in 2017, stepping into Katharine Graham's role as if she'd prepared for it her entire life. Spielberg had long admired her from afar, but working with her changed everything. He said, directing Meryl is like conducting a symphony with only one instrument. She didn't overact, she undercut. Every glance was timed. Every breath served a purpose. Streep didn't dominate the room, she dissolved into it. Spielberg gave her the silence to lead not with speeches, but stillness. He admitted feeling nervous, directing her, a rarity. Streep claimed he barely needed to guide her. His writing and shot structure carried the emotion. But Spielberg called her performance a masterclass in restraint. The Post earned Streep her 21st Oscar nomination, yet the bigger story was how Spielberg spoke of her afterward. Not just as great, but as essential to cinema itself. He compared her to Daniel Day-Lewis, surgical, internal, deeply human. There are very few actors who don't need the room, he said. Meryl is the room. Though they've only worked together once. Spielberg has said he'd drop anything to collaborate with her again. Their connection wasn't built on repetition. It was built on one perfect moment, done right on time. One film, one presence. And the most respected director in Hollywood walked away saying he'd never forget her eyes. For Spielberg, that's more than praise, it's permanence. Number 6. Robin Williams. Robin Williams didn't just play Peter Pan. He made Spielberg believe in him again. During Hook, Spielberg faced one of his most emotionally difficult shoots. The production was bloated, behind schedule, and exhausting. But Williams noticed. Spielberg later shared that Williams called him nightly, not to discuss film, but to make him laugh. He'd do 15 minutes of improv just to lift my mood, he said. No ego, no exhaustion, just presence. Williams became the emotional center, not just of the movie, but of Spielberg himself. The film didn't turn out as Spielberg hoped. It was too big, too messy. But what stayed with him was Robin. Williams infused Peter Pan with an adult sadness, the ache of forgotten youth, the weight of time. He turned a fairy tale into something personal. Their friendship endured long after Hook. When Williams passed, Spielberg delayed Schindler's List reshoots, grieving the loss of Asterisk, the lightning in the bottle. Asterisk. Williams never worked with Spielberg again, but he didn't need to. Once was enough, because some performances echo. Some personalities leave a shape in the air. Spielberg, with all his control, allowed Robin to be the wild element in his frame. That's rare. And that's why, when Spielberg speaks of actors who changed him, he always returns to Robin. Not for polish, but for being the most alive.